Good morning, everyone. My name is Abigail Troth, and thank you so much for joining me this, what started out as a rainy Friday. I mean, my goodness, real quick before I introduce myself, let me just talk about that. Rain was really loud in Hattiesburg this morning, wasn't it? I was pretty shocked by that. But I've heard from Rex personally that rain is moving out and some sunshine is on the way. Anyway, my name is Abigail Troth, and I'm a digital content producer here at WDAM 7, and thank you so much for joining me on WDAM 7 at 11. If you're not familiar, this is an in case you missed it sort of show. We break down the top 7 headlines of the week on Fridays at 11. So I go over everything that happened, all the major headlines, everything that you, the viewers, paid attention to the most from last Friday to today. And we have quite a few stories, a lot of major stories, a lot of big hard-hitting news stories to get into, so let's just go ahead and just take it away. Let's start out here. As you can see, I was practicing earlier. I would just like to push this real quick. That's WDAM 7 Plus, before I really get into it. That is our streaming channel where you can catch this show and so many other shows that we're working on here at WDAM 7. But now let's go ahead and get into the stuff that we actually need to talk about today. I'll continue to talk about that at the end of the show. But as you can see pictured here, this is security footage from nearby businesses in Hattiesburg. But witnesses pulled a child from Highway 49 after he wandered from a Hattiesburg daycare. So a tragedy was prevented last week after Good Samaritans pulled a little boy out of traffic on Highway 49 in Hattiesburg. So witnesses said that the child was seen running up the middle of the highway into oncoming traffic. Bystanders said that he had wandered away from a nearby daycare. An 18-wheeler stopped traffic and began blowing his horn to alert others. Bystander Jared Bowler ran into the road and grabbed the child, who was uninjured. Let's emphasize that. Like I said, a tragedy was prevented. Nobody was injured, especially the child. He said that he didn't see any daycare workers around. One witness said that he had to alert the daycare that the child was missing. A daycare worker came outside, according to bystanders, and brought the child back inside after scolding him. The child's mother declined an on-camera interview, but she said that she did not learn about the incident until the daycare owner called her a few hours later. She also said that legal matters are now underway. The owner of the neighboring Lady Luck Tattoo said that all daycare signage has been removed and that the daycare was closed last Friday. We have made multiple attempts to contact the daycare, but no one has responded. So Delaney Dukes followed that story really heavily last week, and that is the latest update that we have, is that we've tried to reach out. We've reached out to mom, we've reached out to the daycare, and the daycare has not responded to any of our requests for comment. So if we hear anything, if we hear any updates regarding this case, we'll be sure to update you and let you know. Moving on to our next story, this is a big one that actually I first covered back in 2024. Before I actually started full-time here at WDAM, but a former Pine Belt band director, pictured here, Joe Michael Sanchez, entered a guilty plea for sexual battery on Tuesday morning in Bay Springs. He was arrested for 3 counts of sexual battery in 2024, but he only pleaded guilty to 1 count. Circuit Court Judge Stanley Story sentenced Sanchez to 10 years with 5 to serve and 5 on supervised post-release. He will have to register as a sex offender once he's released. Sanchez worked with the band program at Stringer Attendance Center in Jasper County. He was hired by Northeast Jones shortly before his arrest, and after his arrest, a few weeks later, he was terminated by the district. That is something we reported on in 2024, and now that story has come to a close here. We're wrapping it up, but that is the latest update on the Pine Belt band director story that we have. Moving on to our next one. This is a big one also. 9 people were arrested after a narcotics roundup in Perry County. So the Perry County Sheriff's Department and the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics arrested 9 people last Wednesday after a narcotics investigation in the county. So deputies arrested 9 individuals for various charges, including possession of a controlled substance, sale of a controlled substance, conspiracy to sell a controlled substance, and sale of a controlled substance within 1,500 feet of a church or school. These 9 individuals had active felony warrants for their arrest. And to see a full list of those 9 suspects, you can download our WDAM 7 News app or view this story online at WDAM.com. Moving on, this is also a big one for people, especially here for people in Wayne County and in Waynesboro specifically, but the Waynesboro police chief has resigned and a new interim chief has been announced. So big changes are coming to Waynesboro. Police Chief Abraham McKenzie announced his resignation on Monday. McKenzie has only been police chief for 5 months in Waynesboro. Waynesboro Mayor Scott Frost didn't give specific details about his departure, but did share that some of it was due to conflict with the Board of Aldermen. A special called meeting on Monday saw WPD Sergeant Brian Everett named as interim police chief, and that is who is pictured here. That is the current interim police chief, Brian Everett. So Everett has 20 years of law enforcement experience, and most of that is in Wayne County. The mayor said that an announcement on who will be the police chief is coming soon. So that could be either next week, or he did say that could be in the coming weeks. We're not sure yet, but as soon as we learn who that new chief is going to be, we'll let you know. So stay tuned with our WDAM 7 News app. Download it for any push alerts, anything you want to know, and keep an eye on our social media. Just keep an eye on our page, and we'll keep you updated on anything that we find out. This has been a major story here in the Pine Belt that not only people in Perry County have been worried about, but people in the air, just all over the state, actually, and even on national levels, because we've actually had people from other states coming to help fight this. But this is the Perry County wildfire, and we first broke this story on Sunday, but now we have learned that what was once contained at 95% and almost, getting kind of to that stopping point to where it was almost put out, has now jumped the containment line and is now at 2,800 acres, according to the U.S. Forest Service. So, as I said, this has affected people in the homes in the Janus community. I'm pretty sure that 3 homes had to be evacuated due to safety concerns and due to the risk levels because of this wildfire. Now, I do want to say that does not mean that anybody has been There are no injuries. No homes have been lost. No structures have been lost as of the latest update. But we first reported a few days ago that the fire was 95% contained at 2,160 acres, and that has changed. On Wednesday, we learned from the U.S. Forest Service that the fire jumped the containment line to the north onto an area of Camp Shelby, and that is the latest picture we have here that was sent by the U.S. Forest Service. Fire crews conducted a 700-acre strategic firing operation in the area to consume fuel. Our last update was that the fire was 50% contained. If you're traveling in the area, please exercise caution. Wildfires can be very bad for not just the environment, but they can also be really bad for your air quality and for your lungs, and it can be really hazy and smoky. So if you're in that area, be safe and be careful. If I'm not mistaken, Riley is working on trying to talk to someone from the U.S. Forest Service today to get any updates that we can get. So just stay tuned, stay with us. Any updates we get on this story, we will be sure to tell y'all. This is a massive thing. We don't get a lot of wildfires down here in the Pine Belt, and when we do, we always treat it as a big deal, as we would with any story like this, but this is a big one for us. This is one that we'll definitely keep you posted on. This is another one. It was just a really big week for news, y'all. Last Friday, we learned of a standoff between an armed robbery suspect and the Hattiesburg Police Department. Police said that the suspect, who was identified as 32-year-old Brandon Rice, was wanted in connection with an armed robbery that happened around 9 a.m. on Broadway Drive. Brandon Rice is pictured here. Detectives believed that he was in a home on East Scuba Street and informed us that he was hiding in the attic. Units stayed outside of the home trying to make contact with the suspect for over 2 hours. Our reporter Delaney Dukes said that the police deployed a gas or smoke in the house and used a drone during this standoff. I would like to say that Delaney was out at this scene for just almost as long as it was going on. She was following, sending back updates to us, talking with law enforcement, and that's just how we work here. We have someone at the scene and we're sending back information. We're trying to get those updates out to y'all as quick as we can. But Rice was taken into custody, and he was charged with 1 count of armed robbery, and his bond was set at $100,000. I checked this morning, as I usually do with stories like this where we have somebody in custody. I tell y'all usually, I check the roster if I'm able to see if they're still in custody, and Rice is still listed on the Forest County Jail roster. So that means that he is still in custody and has not posted bond at this time. Now, I really want to close out on a good note, on a good story, because like I said, that's a lot of hard-hitting, hard news stories, and I know that oftentimes it feels like when you look at news, when you look at the media, there's just a lot of bad things coming out with the state of this world, but I just want to give y'all a good news story. So the William Carey track team got a helping hand last week in Florida. So the William Carey University track team was showing some Florida hospitality after its charter bus broke down on I-10 in Escambia County, Florida last Thursday. So with the bus broken down, the team had no air conditioning, and they were told that the repairs were going to take a few hours to complete. And if I'm not mistaken, in Florida, it's pretty humid. It's pretty hot. I know that we're used to that humidity and that heat here in Mississippi, from what I've heard, Florida can be just as bad, if not worse. And I believe that at this time it was around 75 degrees and incredibly humid. So I couldn't imagine sitting there in a few hours in that kind of weather. But thankfully, the Florida Highway Patrol asked for a bus from the Escambia County School District's Transportation Department to come out. And a woman who is lovingly called Miss Red at this school district, she brought her bus out, and the team was able to enjoy some much-needed cool air while the bus was repaired. And once the charter bus was fixed, the students were able to make their way to Gainesville to compete. So that's a good news story. That is something, see, we do report on good news. We like those good news stories, you know. So if you have any good news stories, if you have anything going on, send them our way. We like to report on these things. We know that we can report on a whole array of news, but we like those good news stories too. And if you actually want any good news stories, you can go check out any national, local, statewide, regional. You can go check out some good news stories on our show, The Good Side, on the WDAM 7 streaming channel, which is WDAM 7 Plus. And I actually want to get into that to close out this show. You can actually watch all those live things on our WDAM 7 News app, which you should download on your phone. Highly recommended. I bring it up every time, but I really want y'all to download it. You can get all those push alerts, anything that's breaking, going on in your area. We send that right to you. But we don't just send breaking news and hard news stories. We'll send you good news. We'll send you something going on in the weather. We'll send you trending stories, anything you need to know, anything that we want y'all to know. We can send it to you right on the app. And you can also check out our live streams. You can check out anything that's going on in your area and stay up to date on what's going on in and around the Pine Belt on this WDAM 7 News app. But I really want to get into this. This is where this show is going to be available from now on. It's not on Facebook anymore, but you can catch this show and all of our other shows that we have here at WDAM 7, like Capital Catch-Up, Weekend Preview, Mayoral Monday, and so many others from us and from Gray Media. You can check those out on WDAM 7 Plus, which is available on Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV. Well, that is all for me today here, Pine Belt. Thank y'all so much for joining me. If you have plans this weekend, I hope you have an amazing weekend. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy that sun, because I know that rain was kind of dreary for the past 2 days, but I hope you have a fun weekend, and just stay safe. My name is Abigail Troth. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see y'all next time.